Hey everybody, sorry I'm a little late. Just getting the streams going, making sure I got Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch happening here. Okay, looks like I'm on Facebook. Got 10 people. Hello, how's everybody doing? Oh, it's jumping up. Okay, so let me get YouTube going. Where's that at? Alright, well, now that I got everything up and running, hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for tuning in. I'm trying out this new restream chat. Hello, Xenoshadow99. What's up? What's cracking? I'm just gonna send out a quick message. Just let me know if you guys get this. Gonza E, what's going on? This is pretty nice. Yeah, I know some of the other streamers have been using some different chatting services, so I'm trying to get a way to consolidate all this stuff on here so I can see you. Sweet. Okay, awesome. So, well, if any of you guys have checked out my other streams, I normally stream on Thursdays, moving to Mondays for now. In the last bunch of streams, I've just been going into nanomesh, array mesh. I've been doing Lego projects, building spaceships, that kind of stuff. So this one, hopefully you guys are excited because I'm pretty pumped about this idea. I'm trying something new here. Want to try and do something that gets all of you guys involved. Oh, nice. It's your first time, Xenoshadow? Cool. Well, thanks for tuning into this stream. So this one's a little creative. I'm gonna experiment with this one, but what I want to do, I'm trying to introduce something called ZBrush mashups. So if you guys haven't heard anybody talk about this yet, I've been trying to spread the word, but it came from it was an original post on, I think it was on ZBrush Central. It was an artist. Let me see if I can find Pikachu and Dead. Does anybody see the Pikachu and Deadpool ZBrush sculpt? Yeah, here we go. So this guy right here, this piece right here, this got me going. This came out maybe a year and a half ago. We got tons of traction on Instagram. A lot of people were sharing it, and it just got super popular, and it got me thinking, well, what if we do a show here on Twitch where we can collaborate with you guys? So the focus or the goal is each, maybe 2 weeks, it depends on how long it's going to take me to get things done, depending on the subject matter. What I want to do is just pick random topics, and essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a Wheel of Fortune style video. This is just a quick example. So I want to take, you guys just throw out ideas, topics, starting now if you want. Just start throwing out topics and themes, and I'm going to put together this board. I might just build it in After Effects or find a script or something, but I'm just going to randomize it and pick 2 topics and just mash them up. Oh, no sound for Samir. Okay, so Tyler said he's got it. I don't know, Samir. Yeah, so, okay, cool. You guys are digging it already. I like it. So, this is the focus. So, this is the first official ZBrush mashups. I would appreciate it if you guys spread the word. Tell everybody to tune in. The more people we can get involved. And I'd like to keep this as open as possible as far as, keeping things open to if you guys have suggestions, ideas that you want to throw in, ways to mash stuff up, what I should introduce and what I shouldn't. That's the goal. So I'm not really married to anything, and then this way I get to spend more time just kind of going through all kinds of ZBrush stuff. Each one thing I might model differently. I might use Z-spheres, I might use Dynamesh, I might use Z-modeler, topology, all that fun stuff, and maybe get into doing some of my older stuff in Animesh and Array Mesh. But if you want to follow on Twitch, I don't have a personal account on Twitch, so you can check in my streams. Like for now, I should be in on Mondays. So Mondays is the way to go. And if you want to, I've started a ZBrush Central thread just for my own Twitch streams. So this, I wanted to kind of get collaboration going. If I use custom UIs or custom brushes or anything that I might be doing, I want to share that with you guys and put that stuff out. So if you go to ZBrushCentral.com, my username is Sir_Scallywag, Sir_Scallywag, and I have a thread just specifically on Twitch live streams. So I've already started sharing, like, I don't know, in previous streams I was kind of getting into some of my older stuff, doing this I don't know, like array mesh watch breakdown. So I've kind of like put some things in there. I put in somewhere here at the top, I've got custom UI, hotkeys and stuff I'll be using. So yeah, that's probably the best place to get a hold of me. And the Twitch schedule, if you go to the Pixelogic stream page, that'll be up on the schedule, so I'll be there. Preferably Mondays. I think I'm going to try and stick to that, but things get busy around here. Sometimes we have to rearrange, but I do my best to stick to it. So without further ado, the goal is, you know, obviously I want to, the next stream I want to take all of your guys' stuff and I want to pick randomly. So the first one, I had to just come up with something so we can kind of get started. So this idea comes from actually Pixelogic's own Michael Nisbet came up with the idea of doing a mashup between Super Mario and Blade Runner. I don't know, what do you guys think about Super Mario and Blade Runner? Because I'm pretty stoked about it. Space Marine with a Care Bear. Okay, see, this is, I'm going to make sure I'm copying and pasting all of your guys' suggestions. I'm going to put this into a notepad. Let's go. File, new. We got Space Marine and Care Bear. What a great idea. I dig it already. So I'll keep this up on the side. Alright, cool. So, this is what I got so far. My thinking was, I got Super Mario, I got Blade Runner. First thing I thought of was, well, yeah, of course we can do Mario. You know, Super Mario would be great. But I was thinking, why don't we go with, you know, Luigi, I just feel like doesn't get enough action. And then I started going down the road of like, okay, well, what if you take Luigi's Mansion and you got, what's up, do I have bad audio?
I think you have the wrong mic selected.
Oh, do I? Is it maybe the webcam? Sorry guys, 1 second. I gotta check my setup here. Device captures. I don't know what's what. Go to properties here maybe?
Try that. Yeah, try that. Come on. Device. That.
I think it's this guy.
Okay. Is that better? Just shoot me a message on Slack if it's good. Well, you guys out there, do you guys hear? Is my audio any better? Dougie, you said audio sounds like you're recording on a CPU. It's better now? Okay, sweet. Yeah, I think I was recording from the webcam and not the actual headset. Cool. Thanks, guys. My bad. My bad. I'm still, you know, I can help make ZBrush and understand all of this, but as far as audio technology, I'm a novice apparently. All right, cool. So anyway, so I was, you know, kind of going down the rabbit hole of like, well, you got Luigi's Mansion where he's sucking up ghosts, so maybe Luigi is either Deckard or maybe Kay or this dude, which I'm not quite sure what this guy's name is, the origami guy. So I'm open to suggestions. My goal right now is, I think what I'm going to do is work on Luigi, and then I'm going to figure out how I can incorporate Blade Runner. Maybe this stream I'll do organic and just kind of work on the character stuff, and then next stream I was thinking, you know, if, you know, Deckard or Kay, they have their blasters, I might be able to like convert his vacuum into a Blade Runner style gun. But yeah, so that's my thinking. But please, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat if you guys have any suggestions or ideas as we're going along. Sweet. Alrighty. So, you know, most of my other streams, I think I end up talking a lot about what I'm doing. This one, if I go blank, just shout at me on the chat. Luigi, yeah, Luigi is the Blade Runner. That's the focus. That's the goal. So I think the first thing I'm going to want to do is just start working on some. I need to get some reference going before I do anything else. Especially, I don't know, you guys ever do stylized characters? It gets a little hairy, especially when you get into like Disney style characters, when they design their characters, you know, 3 heads tall, or distance and length, how long the arms are, how big the torso is, all that stuff. So I think I'm going to just start working on some just quick reference in ZBrush. Actually, let's do this. Alright, so this is something I like to do, like just to kind of get an eye for trying to figure out scale and just kind of break things down in a way that I can easily start to reshape things and try and sculpt this from image reference. So I'm just taking a texture and throwing this onto a polyplane. No, you said the proportion is one of the reasons I still do my base mesh in 3D modeling program. Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, it gets challenging, especially like translating 2D to 3D. Distance, like if you're looking at another screen, distances become, I mean, they get very important to nail down the exact likeness. So that's like, it's so crucial. So I think what I want to do is kind of just break down the shapes. I always kind of take things based on head size, something that I can easily kind of break down in that way. So I'm just taking this plane. I just loaded it into the texture palette onto a polyplane, and I'm actually going to convert this to, I'm going to divide this up to, I don't know, let's say 1,000,000. And then that way I can go down to, so I've got it assigned as a texture, but I'm going to go to polypaint and do polypaint from the texture with RGB mode on. There we go. So now I don't even have to worry about that texture. I can turn this guy off. So now I just assign this onto the plane. And then I'm just going to go in and do a little sketch over here. So this whole, just anybody who's new, or you know, I apologize for the custom UI. I know it's sometimes frustrating if you're a new person, you want to know where things are. I pretty much essentially made my own custom menu. So I made this where I can map this to the 2 key, and each one of these is, it's one open sub palette is on. So essentially I can just, anytime I click another one, it opens up. That way I can kind of strip down the menus and keep it just focused to full screen mode as much as I can. It's tough to do that when you teach. If you watch my other streams, I always mention that it's like you start to forget where things are, and it's easier to just keep it by default. But in this case, when I'm doing art, I just love to make it as easy as possible. But that's all on my ZBC thread if you guys want to check that out. All right, so let's see. First thing I want to do is just kind of rough out what the shape of the head is. I couldn't find any images of Luigi without his hat, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball where the head's going to sit underneath there. Alright, that's pretty good. And then let's see what I want to do next. So I'm going to go into the subtool. So I'm going to use the head as a unit of measurement just to kind of visualize this. So let's go duplicate this, solo that out. Go modify top. I'm just going to delete the hidden. Oh, make sure I delete the subdivisions first and then delete hidden. Cool. So now I've actually got just the head part broken off here. And I'm going to use this over here just as a way to essentially just use it as a unit of measurement. So cool thing with Gizmo is as long as I get this thing selected, I can hold Control and click and drag and duplicate this. So there's one. It's about maybe 2 3/4. I don't know. What do you think? I say 2 3/4. So the foot's probably gonna. He's drawn in perspective, so I have to kind of eyeball it. Let's clear the mask. Delete hidden. Cool. I'll go back to the original plane and let's just draw some lines here. No lazy mouse. So this I just like to do just to kind of give a visual marker of where this kind of lies as far as like the torso and where the legs are kind of fitting in between that too. So we'll say he's like 2 3/4 heads. Now let's see, what else do I want to know? Probably the arms and the legs. So I'm going to grab this, duplicate this one more time. Just get rid of the rest. Could even shrink this down a little. So to the shoulder, that's, oh, say, I don't know, that's about a little bit more than 3/4 of a head. Get my lazy radius going. Three-quarter head. Go back to this guy beforehand. Yeah, we'll say the legs all the way down to the feet. One head. Okay, cool. So then one thing that I like to do is, you know, as far as like keeping a reference going, just to kind of visually eyeball this stuff as I go, I'm using Spotlight as a reference tool. And let's see, if I want to, I'm just going to add, actually first thing I want to do, I just want to turn this into, just export this as a JPEG so I can use it. I don't know, I just prefer to kind of keep it free and open as much as I can. So easy way to do this, I can frame this or go to full half size to get this all in there. Now if you go to document and you export this as a JPEG, this is going to give me, let's see, ZBrush mashup. Let's do so portions front. Yeah, so then this will give you some little cropping tools. I can just turn this thing into a quick JPEG. Click OK. Now turn my Spotlight back on and let's just import that guy. Sweet. Alright, we'll say that's good for now. So then, first thing I'm going to start off with, I don't know, what do you say? We'll start off with the head. I'm going to focus on the head and then I'll block out the body once I get just the base shape of the head going. So let's do good old-fashioned sphere. Great thing about this character is I can definitely use a lot of base primitives as just like general shapes to kind of figure out the character's, you know, body type for sure. Like if I go back to this, got this sort of oblong shape here in the body. Those could easily be just cylinders. Same for these guys. Yeah, we could do that. Alright, so let's get this project started. So I got a Sphere 3D. I'm just going to make my own Dynamesh project. If you guys are starting off, I could have just started off and loaded a Dynamesh Sphere ZPR file, but I'll just do that myself. Go to Geo, and I always like to start really small. Let's go, say 32 res. Keep things nice and low poly. For me, the lower the better. But you know, so most of you guys probably realize this. Like, lower the better. You know, bigger draw size, you can affect large areas. There's less points to deal with. And let's go rename this Luigi Head and do a quick save. Version 1. White Power Ranger and Sub-Zero, I just saw that. That's going on the list for sure. Dig it. Yeah, anybody who's just jumping in, so the goal here is to mash up 2 random topics next time. Oh, Xenomorph and Pokemon? Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. I almost want to do that now. That's so great. Yeah, don't worry, if I don't mention anybody's stuff in the stream, I'm going to be going through all this stuff and I'll hit it. Edgemaster99, you said, you notice ZBrush forgetting hotkeys if I hit the caps lock. Oh. If you guys want to customize, as mentioned, Dougie, you want to customize color icons or individual coloring of the menu titles? Well, there's tons of options for that. I don't know how much you've seen, but let me see. I've got this interface saved, but you can go to, okay, I'm going to dock the preferences palette really quick for anybody who's interested. But if you open up, go to preferences, eye colors. Now you'll see that there's tons of already selected color options here, and you can obviously, like, basically just, you'll see at the very top we've got just color boxes that you can literally click open or select and drag. So you see if I click and drag to the color palette, I can start to change this right here. And then you'll see all the way down, like there's titles, title of the background, title of the palettes. So depending, some menus you may not be able to completely change, but there's tons of color options here. I definitely recommend checking that out. And if you aren't familiar with, you know, different methods of customizing, like the way that certain things are colored, you can first check out the very top. We have the default script that you can always load, and then we can cycle through existing presets that we've built for you. So this will kind of show you, you can see as the colors change in iColors, you can see kind of where it's being associated with. So this might be something that you, if maybe this is what you're looking for, I'm not completely sure. But the yeah, I'm gonna go back and load my custom UI. I'm on 3.1. Yeah, so many colors. It can get crazy. Like, I used to nerd out and, like, I don't know, I remember making like when the first Iron Man came out, I made my own custom Iron Man theme with like gold and red and all that. Every once in a while I just like to change it up, change the background and all of that. So there's really tons and tons of customizing options. Does anyone use Z-spheres anymore? Definitely. I actually might do that once I get to the body. So once let me get cruising with this thing, and then we'll start working this out as we go along. So I'm going to strip down the good old menu. Keep my reference over here. Yeah, I'm really excited for next stream. I think next stream I just want to focus on hard surface, maybe do the weapon, you know, do a lot of clean surfaces, maybe a little sculpture just to block it out, but that way I can kind of touch on different techniques. So let's go. And hey, another easy way is if I want to, this is something I like to do sometimes if I'm going on a very specific shape or I need to just kind of lay some reference down. Like I could leave the image here. So you can either use, if you want to do like front orthographic views, storing things, you can go into document, ZAppLink properties, and you can store front, back, right, left, top, and bottom. That's something I like to do sometimes, but also another thing I do is go into go into the movie palette, go to the timeline and click show, which you'll see here in my custom UI. I've just got this assigned here. So what I'll do is, like if I've got an image reference up like here, and I just kind of want to quickly shape this, just to make sure I can always return back to the same place if the image is in the same place. I'm just hitting Shift Z and Z for spotlight to turn it on and off. But then I just want to make sure I store the position. So if we turn on the timeline, you can add a timeline point, and I always add 2. So anything in between here, you'll see if I go and like zoom out, I can actually just click and drag in between. It's going to bring it back. So I can store multiple points, multiple viewpoints to kind of remember. And then I can just turn show back off if I need to. So then let's just go. Turn that guy off for now. Oh, make sure I turn off my spotlight projection too. So one thing I use a ton, mirroring and welding. So I've made a bunch of actually custom macros. So like sometimes I work on the wrong side and I got to mirror over and then mirror and weld. So I actually have a mirror in X and mirror in X, or mirror weld in X, so on. I've kind of just built a ton of these things, which these also are going to be on my ZBC thread. So if you see me jumping in and out of that menu, that's just the custom menu that I'm using. All right, so let's see. Kind of just free flow this. Might go up in Dynamesh resolution just to get a cleaner mask. Let's just draw in a little sketch where the mouth is, lay a little marker, and then the eyes. Cool. get rid of the back there. Alright, let's do a little, got some deformation essentials, maybe do a little just quick polishing. One more thing I do want to bring in is I need a good side reference. Oh, I just saw your comment, Dougie. So you're suggesting subtool title text to be red. Oh, I see, the coloring of the text in that way. I gotcha. Okay. Noted. I will definitely make sure I add that into our feature suggestions list. Yeah, that would be nice to be able to customize those things in that way. Alright, so the ear, I'll say roughly. Whoa. I can tweak this when I move on. So something I like to do for ears is just do a little mask like so, and then just viewing it from the back side, we can actually start pulling this out. Just got some big old ears. Do a little remesh. No floor grid. Oh gosh. Alright, so I've got the base stuff working in here. Now, the next thing I want to do is, before I go any further, let's take this and just kind of rework it. Oops, before I do that, let's go mirror and weld in X. Cool. Do a little quick Z remesh. So I always like to just kind of rough it in, but then go back to low topo and just kind of reshape the overall silhouette before I get too far ahead of myself. in here and add a couple subdivisions. Whoops. No dynamic. Oh, whoops, I have a mask. There we go, that's why. Make sure I get some sort of like build up for an eyelid. This is, I always find this to be a challenging thing with like stylized characters. Like you can nail it in the front, especially with eyes, but then as soon as you go to the side, it gets really tricky getting that profile to work. So I might have to spend a little time working on that. Alright, now let's see what's next. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to figure out a way to, I want to get that crease going in the nose. Actually, I got an idea. So he's got this sort of like little crease there. Just want to make sure I can land that before I move on to anything else. And I think what I'm going to do is let's do a little slice curve. So I'll go down one more subdivision level. Let's delete higher and lower. So I'm just going to add a little, looks like it's kind of rounded out. There we go. Actually, let's do it with B radius. So I'm just holding Control Shift, and then while holding Control Shift, do spacebar, and I can do a B radius. So this will actually add a little. It's going to add an edge loop based on the draw size. So if I want to get just a nice little loop in there, there we go. Let's grab this guy. Do a little blur, and then no symmetry. Oh, it looks like I got this stuff masked off. Oh, he's got a butt in his head. There we go. So I can bring this to the center, maybe just scale this in a little bit. And then I can do a little polish by features, one of my favorites. So it's going to keep those group edges and just start to polish everything around it. So I can lightly go in here and just kind of blend this tiny bit. Alright, now let's do one more. So hopefully by just dipping that in a little bit, ZBrush will pick up that topo. So just by carving in there is most likely, I'm just trying to get one clean edge loop, so that way as if I go, there we go, perfect. So now it's at least in there, and then this is what I like to do, is then now that I've got some clean edge loops, that's the most unified way that you can get a perfect stroke around there, as opposed to like like say I used like damn standard, I'm trying to go around. The lazy mouse will pick up your most previous or your last stroke. So like you can go in and apply, well I'll have to do it in a second, but or actually I'll just do it really quick, but you know I could go around as I'm pulling, and as long as lazy mouse is on, like say I do a little lazy radius and I start going around, and then it's going to pick up where that stroke left off, but then it's all pressure sensitivity, maybe I push down too much, so that's why I like to do that. So then now what I'm going to do, and I just mentioned the Bomb Kid 123, yep, I'm definitely with you, the nose definitely needs to be more rounded. So what I'm trying to do is I can now use selection lasso, Control Shift and click in between two verts along an edge loop, and that's going to select that entire edge loop, and then now I have polygroup or auto groups assigned to Control Shift and 9. So that's going to auto group everything separate, and then now I just go grab this, Control Shift X to grow all. So I got this as a group. Let's do another color, and that is a group. So then here, now that I've got that, here's where I can start to go in here and do a little, go back and maybe do a polish by features. That's going to start to blend that edge a little. But then really the benefit that I love about this is having those two groups is that now I can do Control Shift, grab this, mask it off, and do a little blur. And now I can really start to tweak that nose. It's like a slight tapering, but just very minor. And even further, if I wanted to go like just tweak that edge there, I could grab this group, mask it off, don't do any blurring, and I can actually start to pull it in even further. There we go. So at least I got some edge loops in there now from ZModeler to kind of hold that crease. And if I want to, I could even just like go into ZModeler brush. Let me quick save first. Go into an edge loop, slide the edge loop closer, or play around with maybe doing a little extruding of the edge loop, but we'll see how that goes. I'm going to start, I want to get the eyes working first before I do anything else. So let's go back to my selection lasso. I always try and see if I can find a nice edge ring, like maybe this is a ring. Nope. Too many spirals. Well, what we can do, good old-fashioned do it by hand. So I'm just kind of pinching all this topo around in here to try and get some sort of lip. Let's really dig in there. For now, even if it's messy, I always kind of just like go in here and try and rework it, so then if I can at least define like a separation between the lip of that eyelid, since it's very cartoony, as long as I can get some kind of definition going, especially underneath, I think what I'll be able to do is then let's go do one more. I always kind of let ZRemesher do the work, and let's see if we can pick that up. Alucard, you said going to trouble to fix your nose, use insert sphere and move tool. Definitely could do that. It's funny, like there's so many different ways that you can do it, and sometimes I just default to doing things the hard way. I don't know why. I just like sometimes I don't know. I think I get too much. I enjoy the process of kind of reworking stuff and just using brushes and moving stuff around. Sometimes it's just sometimes it is a little overwhelming though. I should maybe get a better technique for that. Let's see. All right, so now I really want to try and hone in on these eyes. So let's do a little set this guy up. So I'm going to delete these points. So add 2 more there. Okay, so the inside of the eyelid I know for sure. So a little bit more. So now I'll go back to that point. All right. We'll say that's good for now. So now, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of lose my mind if I can't just do like a sphere for an eyeball. I like to just lay in the eyes as soon as possible so I can kind of get a feel if it's starting to look right. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. Go ahead and just make a quick eyeball, or half of one. So I'm going to grab a sphere. Just do a simple sphere 3D. And let's grab just half of this guy. Yeah, so those eyes, they're definitely, as far as like the spacing and everything, I'm not going to be able to fit full spheres, but let's see. I maybe want to do a little flattening. Squeeze this. You can turn on transparency, kind of move this stuff around. And then let's do a little mirror and weld in X. Probably push these back in a little bit more. Let me just reassign this polygroup for the nose really quick. Oh, I do want to check, see if I got, nope, no luck. Always hoping for an edge ring around there, but I probably could have just defined it more with the sculpture, but alright, I'm going to go do some extra subdivisions, and then just going to do a little, or actually I might do this, just assign a quick polygroup for all of this. So let's do, there we go. So I just kind of auto grouped by removing that edge loop, but then let's try and grow this out. So the polygroups, if any of you guys don't use them or trying to do it on a mesh with subdivisions, you have to do it. If you want them to stay without breaking, you got to do it at the lowest level. So going down to level 1. And I may not be able to get a perfectly clean loop, but I could do just like a partial edge loop at the very least. So we got this guy, move that one, it's all together. Cool. So I can grab, anytime now I can grab this, mask it off, go up a little, do a little blurring. So I'm just sharpening and then blurring to kind of just isolate a particular area. Forget what I was doing this for. Oh, that's right. That's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to maybe just bring this in a little with the move brush to kind of wrap this around the eye. Alright, so let's get some texture on this thing and see how it's looking. So I'm just going to add some quick subdivisions on these half caps for the eyes. I'll go back to my reference image, and I could do one thing. I could just go using Spotlight. I'm just on the eyes themselves, so I'm on the eye subtool. So I don't know if you guys have used Spotlight as a painting tool, but make sure I'm going into brush, samples, turn on Spotlight projection for this, which I have mapped here at the bottom. So then first let's go grab the skin shade. I'm going to fill it with that. And then let's go back to RGB and nosy add. Now you can't quite see it. Let me turn the opacity on. So I'm essentially just painting with that texture. There we go. So I just applied it. So then what I think I'm going to do is maybe tweak that. You know what? I don't know if I like that. I think I'm just going to, let me go back to white really quick. I'm going to use the, let's go with the mask circle. Alright, so I can, with the spotlight wheel, and I can color pick. So let's go up, make sure I got the opacity up. No fade. Oh, there we go. Didn't even realize I had a fade on there. I wonder why I was looking all, it was looking faded for sure. Alright, so no spotlight radius. Try this again with a little clear visibility there. So I'll inverse that. Now I can color pick that one. I'm going to press V, swap back to the other swatch, and maybe just grab this darker blue. So first I can color fill this, and let's inverse the mask. So I'm going to go down lower in subdivision, blend that, Go up. Maybe sharpen and blend more. I'll switch back to the other color and fill object there. There we go. So I got a nice little fall off. And let me select this guy and fill him with white. Now let's grab the blue here in the center and whatever this, so almost black. Oops, wrong subtool. All right. Now, if that topology is not working out for the paint, which is definitely the case, I think what I'll do now is let's duplicate these guys. Yeah, I don't use Alicore. I don't use pre-made eyeballs that much either. I don't know. I agree. I always end up making them. It kind of like helps with the process, I think, as far as like trying to get the right size of an eyeball is challenging because it's a lot bigger than you think. But toon characters, it's always, you never know what you're going to get, really. So I just Z-remesh that, and I'm going to, let's do eyes, Z-rem. Let's just turn these on. Fill object. So I'm just going to do a little quick subtool. I'm going to go down to project. So I'm just selecting the new one, got the other one turned on, and do a project all. I just had to Z-remesh really quick because that sphere, the 3D sphere has the polar caps, where the geo you get little tries, and the paint just doesn't work on those areas. So those aren't really essentially meant for that. Z-remesher does a quick, clean quad, so I can easily add better quality res. All right, cool. So let me make sure I fill this with the skin shade. Just delete these old guys. Just do a little cleanup. Right, so then I gotta also do the, he's got that little blip, that little sort of blue blip, so let's do a drag rag to maybe like a nice soft fall off here. Turn off spotlight projection now so I can kind of get that in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then let's get the old, if I want to get crazy, I can color pick this one, and then let's color pick the little outer sort of light blue. And then do a little mask circle. In this case, because you can't quite see it, this is sometimes where I'll just go to the masking palette and just do a blur. So let's fill it with that. There we go. Now inverse it. Or let's just try and fill it in. Sweet. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it definitely goes, the iris is going into the eye. Like when you look at it by themselves, it's like it looks almost cross-eyed, but then it works for the most part. But what I might do, just because that is going to bother me, let's do this. So I'm going to set the gizmo in the center of both eyes and refresh. I'm going to turn on local symmetry. So I just want to do a rotate, but right, oh, that'll work. Actually, with symmetry on. There you go. Just to make sure the iris parts are kind of really out front and center. Kind of just looking at it from the side profile, making sure it's working in a linear way. And then, yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. Let's move on. Before I start getting into finessing of all this stuff, you guys ever just catch yourself noodling with something for way too long? Because that's always my fear. Like, I just got to move on. I can always come back to it, tweak it. It's not that big of a deal. So, let's see. What do I got to do next? I think the next thing would be to, let's land down the mouth. And the good old stash, and maybe get the hair and hat going. I really should set up some Z-app link references, but just going to keep it for now. Anybody else throwing out any crazy mashup ideas? Let's see if I'm gonna go through and check really quick. Oh, sorry, Alicor, I saw you had a problem with the sculpt. You had to sculpt the bomb demolition helm. You're going the traditional way, just clay build up, and it ended up like a pile of garbage. Trust me, I know the feeling. So you made it with extract, max, insert mesh. Yeah, you know, that is the best way to do it. Like stylized characters, I see a lot of people just use insert primitives to kind of keep things super clean. Otherwise, you end up kind of going down this road. So that is a great way to do it. It's at least cleaner, right? I guess that's the goal. Keep it as clean as possible. But I always muddy things up, and then I just kind of remesh, and I just muddy it up until I get the general shape of things, and then kind of go back and just remesh and rework it while I'm just working on the silhouette block out phase. Some people are really good at just sculpting that way. Danny Williams is one of those people. If you can watch his streams on our YouTube channel from old CTN expos here in Los Angeles and other things, just really knocks it out. Just a lot of practice, and it makes all the difference. So let's see, what do I want to do? I want to do, I got the lips in there. Now, I just want to quickly kind of get this mustache working in here. So I'm just going to do a little mask off on the head. Doesn't have to be so precise. Let's save a couple new dots here just in case. I'm going to go. There we go. So no. Now, I'm just going to clean this up, kind of eyeball the curvature here. Here you go. Now we're getting into the extracts. So if you guys haven't used extract, which most people have, if you're a ZBrusher, you definitely use it. Awesome way to just quickly generate something. So just make the mask. I'm just going to sharpen it. The subdivision level is going to be accounted for, so it's basically just going to take the topology that it's sitting on top of, and it's going to extract that topology and just add a thickness based on the slider settings. But I just want to, I'm going to go and do a lot lower, like 0.009 maybe. Let's see what I can get. Yeah, there we go. And let's just click accept. So I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm just going to kind of go in here and let's go with alright, and I'm going to do a little, go to deformation, do a little inflate balloon maybe. First, let's get that going. And then let's just do a little dyna. Maybe do a little just inflate brush. Big draw size, I can get a large area going. His mustache is much sharper, which something that I like to do for just like kind of like trying to get a nice little pinched area like that. I mean, this is a small little tip, but this is one thing I love to do. If you take the snake hook and just kind of pull this thing out, but then as you go back and smooth it out, eventually if you go really far up, you see it kind of really sharpens out as you smooth it. Color fill object. Make sure this is nice and snug up on the nose. Now, this is where I start going no gizmo. Just do a little rotate. Maybe going with a little clip curve. I don't know if that's totally necessary, but alright. We'll leave it at that. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly Z-remesh this. Alright, so next up, before I get to the, what else do I need to extract? Maybe the eyebrows. so I can count a little extra mask in there. Let's get rid of this guy and this guy. Delete hidden. Let's try a little polish, huh? And I just want to make sure they're not too flat also. So I'm just maybe going to do a little, just tiny bit of inflate. Yeah. First, let's do a Z remesh of that, and then start working on the low res. Alright, we'll leave those for now. I have a feeling that eyebrows are going to be crucial. If I'm going for, oh, who knows, man. If I'm going for decorated eyebrows, I mean, I'm going to have to get creative with the, his expression. He's not going to be smiling, that's for sure. I mean, you look at these two, we got to get serious here eventually. So I'm going to have to maybe do some iterations of different eyebrows, since that's pretty much going to drive the expression. Or maybe, oh, here we go. Actually, you know what? Since he has a mustache, I don't know. What do you guys think? Mustache, goatee? Hold on. Let's experiment with this. I just have a feeling that this could work out. Like with those crazy eyes, too. Hold up. I got to make sure I get the chat stream up here. Van, you're asking the radial menu. Oh, this guy. So this menu right here, this is it's not an add-on. This is actually in ZBrush. So if you take any image, you can go load an image in the texture palette, select it, and if you click this little add to spotlight, it just adds this to this array of images. So once this is on, you turn it on by this on and off button enables it, and the hotkey is Z to turn the wheel on and off, and then Shift Z turns everything off. So when it's on with Shift Z and then you press Z, you can click and drag on multiple images and move them around by just clicking and dragging. Once you have one selected, this is where you can start using these modifiers, which these apply to the selected image. If you don't have one selected, see if I select outside, then I can pre-scale everything together, or I can rearrange the tile proportional. So it's essentially was developed as a way to texture with images, but you can actually turn off the texturing option and just use it as a reference and then just toggle the images on and off. So hopefully that explains it. Sorry I missed your comment earlier. But yeah, no, I'm feeling this. I really am liking this. Let's see. If I want to go, let's do, this will be standard stash. Let's go stash variation 1. I'll say variation 2. Have to retweak this, but and let's do a little Z remesh of this thing really quick. And one thing I might want to do, if you guys haven't used like deformers at all, if I want to wrap this around a little bit more, I might just quickly go in. Let's go, I'm turning off symmetry, so I'm going to lock the gizmo here, and let's just do a bend arc. So now I can actually go in and, oops, grab the angle, start to taper this. So it just kind of form fits to the face a little more. And then I can go into the settings and just click accept. Let me do a quick save. I think this is going to work. This could be the character. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do variations. This is working. I'm loving this. Let's see what else. Maybe dynamesh this. Alright, I'm gonna play around. I'm gonna leave that on and play around with that for a little bit longer. It's already 5:30. Oh man, this is gonna be time crunch. See, I can't noodle like this. I gotta start cruising along. Alright, let's get the fleshed out of these characters' body going. Last thing I want to do is the hat. So let's get moving on that. I'm gonna insert. Or actually, what we can do without even going to that menu is I can just do Control-Shift-D to duplicate this subtool, and then as long as this thing doesn't have, let's go do a polysphere. So like this, for example, if I want to bring this up, I can actually click this front, so I can put this on top of that image. Or I could put this back. There we go. grab the mask lasso so I can keep that base where it is and just focus on this. So now I might take it into Dynamesh. Do not freeze subdivisions. Looks like this thing is definitely going a little bit further back, like. Let's go down just a little bit so I can smooth a little bit better. Alright, now let's see. Next thing I want to do is let's duplicate this and let's bring in a polysphere. Bring that to the home. So I think I could use this as the bill. So add a couple subdivisions to that. And this is another, this could be easily. So I'm going to turn symmetry off. Let's go to the bend arc again. So the bill is definitely shooting relatively straight out. So I'll go to bend arc. Let's go and delete those subdivisions. So I just added a couple extra just to make the mesh a little bit smoother to a bend arc. Now we can start to match the contour here. So the cool thing about this is I got the bend and I can choose the width of this thing. So it looks like it's going roughly to about the edge of the head. Yeah, that's, yeah, just a little bit in between maybe ear. Yeah, that looks about right. Now we can just take this. So once I'm done with the bending, kind of just flex this a little bit more. Let's accept it. And let's just jam this thing right up in there. It looks so crazy with the little goatee stash. This is going to be the one. I could change his eyes up to just be like crazy blue like that. Oh man, so many possibilities. Okay, let's work on just the hat really quick so I can get this hat bill. Give myself a little bit more room to kind of see all this. And let's quick save. Alright. Now the bill's going straight back into the hat, so I just need to probably, looks like maybe just take like, grab this portion here. So I'm just masking off, I'm keeping it as a separate subtool. So I'll kind of just go in and just maybe jam that in there. Cool. And then last but not least, let's take these two guys now. Let's merge them together. And then I'll re-dynamesh that. One thing I want to do before that is I can grab this, we group that together. Oh. Actually, what I want to do is I'm going to grab this, I'm going to split this by itself. And let's do dynamesh that guy. Polish that. So these things have separate groups. Now let's do a quick merge down. And what I want to do here, I might just have to do this by hand. Well, actually first, before I get to the creasing and all that stuff, let's get the old inside working. So I'm going to go do an insert. I'm going to go X. Actually, you know what? Let's do Control-Shift-D. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm just going to use the duplicate to bring in a cylinder. I'm going to bring this guy in. So I'm going to do a Dynamesh subtract just this way so I don't have to deal with symmetry, and I can just bring this in. Control-Shift-L. So make sure this is going in there nice and clean. Got to make sure I match this roughly. Basically I'm just trying to create the inside of the hat, but give it a nice lip that kind of form fits around this. Alright, so this guy's sitting below, so this will be the hat subtraction. I'm actually going to just dynamesh that really quick. So both of these guys, cool. So I'm going to set that subtract, merge that down, remesh. There we go. And then what I was looking to do here is I'm going to go Control-Shift, grab the slice curve. I'm going to go up in here. Oh, I forgot B radius is on. Control-Shift, hold space bar. Let's turn this off for that one. So I'm just tapping Alt to add points along the curve. There we go. And then let's just do a quick, so I got that crease line in there. Let's do just a little, I just want to make sure that edge is nice and polished before I Z-remesh this. And then do polish by features. So you see that's going to take that edge there, and it's keeping the poly groups, so it's going to get nice and clean. So if I go up a lot, it's going to keep polishing. If you click open this circle, it will shrink the mesh a little, but it's going to apply a much cleaner polish there. And I'm just going to go on the inside and just smooth this stuff out. I don't want that to pick up in the Z-remesh. Now let's go geo, no half, set this to maybe 5 by default. Tim, you were saying, what is that? Can you tell me what? I'm sorry, I just kept moving. I'm sorry, I missed that part, but I'm not sure what you were referring to. But I'd be happy to go back and go over it, whatever it was. All right, so we got. It's looking pretty good. There's something. I think what I need to do is let's get this form fit to his head first. There's definitely a lot of spillage happening. It's almost overlapping over the ear. So let's get this like lined up a little bit better. And then now what I'm going to do is go in and grab, just mask off most of this, blur it. Yeah, I think that's all coming from the back side, like right there. And Henny Pet, you're asking if I work freelance or studio. I'm actually a member of the Pixelogic team, so I'm just doing this stuff all day, every day. This is pretty much all we do. Just working on ZBrush, coming up with new ideas, or doing stuff like this for fun, just to kind of keep things fresh. But I did used to work freelance. Spent a lot of time, but I've been at Pixelogic for a while now, going on 7 years now, 8 years. It almost kind of just blurs together, but stuff like this is fun because, you know, I like to focus on, of course, like highlighting the things that a lot of people don't know about, but this is definitely like you guys are all familiar with just sculpting and blocking stuff out. So it kind of keeps me fresh as far as like my sculpting abilities, and I always want to make sure that I can kind of keep up. And definitely not the best sculptor, but it takes me a lot longer than others. And for reference images, this is all I have right now. I got just the front profile and the side profile, and then I just kind of have these for inspiration for the mashup. But I think eventually I'm going to have to get some more images going in here, probably by the next stream. Like, and by the way, if I don't know, Tim, if you were here at the beginning, the radio menu that Van was asking. Oh shoot, I gotta go see what Van was asking. I don't know, maybe I meant, did I cover that already? The spotlight wheel. That was what it was. Oh man, he's looking crazy with that. What's this guy's name? Does anybody know this guy's name? I'm trying to remember. This character right here. I'm gonna have to go to IMDb really quick. Not Holden. Edward James Olms is the actor. And I'm using Spotlight for images. Yeah, so this is all in my ZBrush. So I can actually hit Shift Z and turn it off in the actual document. Which, yeah, no worries, Tim. That's totally cool. Yeah, so, well, Tim, I guess for you. So the point of this stream is to get you guys involved. The focus eventually, just for anybody who's like just recently tuned in, I wanted to do something new that I could kind of collaborate with all you guys watching and take two random concepts and just mash them together. So this one I picked, or my coworker Michael picked, which is Blade Runner and Super Mario. So I figured start with Luigi. Maybe he's going to be a Blade Runner. Maybe I can do him as some of the additional characters. Yeah, this guy's name, I just found it. It's Gaff. Gaff is the guy's name. This dude, I got IMDb up over here. This guy. Though he's got the origami, which is always some sort of metaphor or reference in the movie, which is so awesome. But I could see Luigi being that character. Already with the mustache, he's got the kind of figure and the face for it. I think it matches. But so anyways, for the next stream, for all of you guys tuning in, I'm going to finish up the Luigi one. Then next stream I might do, like, depending on what I decide, you guys help me out. Tell me what you guys think. I could give him maybe a bowler cap even, or like this style of a hat. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Cobblestone's got it. Great name, by the way. So I might do like some accessories like Blade Runner style or Super Mario Blaster, but in Blade Runner reference. So mashing up the two characters. But yeah. Origami Yoshi. That's great. Good idea. I gotta make note of that. I'm gonna write that down really quick. Man, I think this is gonna be the. I think the only reason I wanted to go, like, I guess Gaff is a Blade Runner, so I can still do the Blade Runner pistol. Yeah, Mario would be Deckard. Maybe I'll just do that the next stream. Well, the goal is that eventually I'm going to, let's see if I still have it up. I'm going to take feedback from all you guys. Any themes, anything that we could take, like movies, video games, TV shows, you know, comic book style characters, like something within a universe or specific things. And I'm going to make a digital wheel that we can essentially, the next stream, I'm going to have this automated so I can just click play. It's going to randomize and pick two themes. Could be any different style, realistic, cartoony, mech, you know, organic, whatever it's going to be. And I'm going to have to figure out how to mash those things up. So something kind of like this where I'll take all your guys' topics, throw it in here, and have it just randomize and land on something. So I got to make either an After Effects script or find something. And this was the original inspiration. Was I forget which ZBrush artist. You can find it on ZBrush Central, but ZBrush artist made this mashup of Deadpool and Pikachu. And I was like, why don't we do that more often? You know, take either things from pop culture, movies coming up this year. So that's pretty much the goal. So I'm kind of just focusing on Luigi for now, and then we'll kind of tweak the rest as I go along. But anyways, I don't know how I started going down that tangent. So let's see, where am I at? Yeah, so that was this isn't one for this stream. This was the inspiration, which an artist just did when the movie Deadpool came out a while ago. And some artists did a Pikachu and Deadpool, which is pretty amazing. Let me see if I can do it. Let's see if I can find it. I believe I initially saw it on Instagram. Pikachu, Deadpool. So I can give proper credit to the artist. There you go. So the ZBC artist is Ramtraz. Yeah, Ramtraz is the username, and you can find it right there. So he's actually looks like he's got it 3D printed out. Yeah, super cool piece. I love this piece. I love the concept so much of just doing this. So I want to try and do it more often. Gives me something to do for the streams and also focus in. I want to try and complete the mashup. Do the first character initially and then do the mashup portion in maybe 1 to 2 streams. So we're going to be cranking out a ton of these. So definitely, if you guys have ideas, I've already been, oh yeah, Tyler Harris has got Darth Vader and Jar Jar Binks. Oh my God. Is that going to piss a lot of people off? I think I'm going to make people mad if I do that, but I'm game. I'm all for a controversy. Darth Vader and Jar Jar Binks has been added to the list. I dig it. Steampunk Trump. Oh man, I don't know. Age is 189. I mean, I love the idea. We'll see. I might have to get that approved from the bosses. It could be too controversial. Yeah, I like the idea. By the way, I forget who. NLTMW. Mario is Deckard. Maybe on my off time, if I do this mashup when I'm not streaming, I'll do just a Mario to get it out there. But anyway, so let's see. What do we got? I got a see, standard stash 2.0. Yeah, no. I'm gonna turn off the standard stash because I'm liking at least the additional variation. So I got the hat at least working. Last thing I wanted to do is quickly just get some hair up in here so I can get down to the rest of the body. So the hair, I'm just gonna do a quick extract. Let's just get the old duff in the back. Oh yeah, and I wanted to get to the body today just so I could, maybe I'll do that really quick once I get this hair working. Oh, let's get rid of this mask in the front there. Alright, so I got the mask. I'm going to do a quick little extract. And maybe just a little bit thicker. Let's go 0.009. There we go, let's just do that. So I'm just going to take this, just Dynamesh this puppy, and deformation. Just want to do, I might need to add that to my custom UI. So something, if I want to do that, like I've got my Sir Scallywag toolkit, which I mapped to the tool key that I've been pulling this up. So these are usually my essential sliders, but sometimes I like to use the inflate just globally. So I can show you guys what I usually do. I just go to config, enable customize, and then as long as that's on, I can hold Control and Alt, grab this inflate, bring this up here, put this at the top. And once I'm done, turn off enable customize, and I always save this into my folder. So if anytime I make major upgrades I go 0.2, but for now we'll just leave it at that. And then once that thing is done saving, all we gotta do, if I want that to load each time I close and launch ZBrush, just go store config, so that'll now remember that. So then now what I can do is on this I can click 2, go to deformation, and just kind of run this inflate. Dynamesh that. Alright, so got the head done, so then the next thing is going to be working out the body, which just doesn't look like I have the time to do it, but just so you guys are aware, those of you that have been watching since the beginning, I kind of went through and I just kind of did the measurements of the character's head. So I just did a quick sketch over of the drawing, or of the picture that I took off of took off online to kind of get the shape of the head, and I figured out it's about 2 3/4 heads tall. So then this is where somebody was asking about does anybody use Z-spheres anymore, which I do, and especially for something like this, if I just want to start to block out the character's body, this is where this is going to be very useful. So what I can do is, as I'm winding down here, and I won't be able to finish all this, I'll pick it up the next stream right where I left off, which let me just quick save this so I have it where I'm at here. Let's go ZBrush mashup, Luigi version 2 stop, or it'll say end. So the first thing would be, you know, let's go out, grab a Z-sphere, turn symmetry on, move this down. So then, you know, of course, I'm going to maybe go in and start to flesh out the body. So, you know, just jam that up in there. The neck is very short. Alright, so then this is where the distance and the help of figuring these things out. So I can, of course, like, start blocking out his shoulders. Bring these back. So I'm going to click and draw, and as I'm drawing, just a quick tip, if you want to make the sphere the same size as the previous one, as you're drawing out, hold Control and Shift. And if you keep holding Control Shift to drag outwards, it's actually going to keep extruding. So I always like to do that, like this is a good foundation for the size of the arm. So just start drawing, Control Shift, and then drag. Now I got the arms working. So then this is where the distance comes into play as far as like trying to get stuff, the measurements working. So as I start blocking out the body, give him like a little big old belly. Scale this up, and then draw the legs out. I can always work the shape of all this stuff later, but here's the deal. Here's what I wanted to highlight as far as like starting to get measurements of how long things are going to be. I can keep the Z-spheres on, and actually I'm going to turn these off just temporarily. Now, and let's turn off the hat and the hair. Right, so we just got the head. So I know for sure that he's about 2 3/4 heads tall. So what I can do is if I turn on the gizmo, and I'm going to turn off the gizmo icon so I have the transpose tool. So I can take this transpose tool, I'm going to hold shift as I draw out. Now if I zoom up, I'm just going to place this in the center. So you see I'm putting the start and end circles at the full length of the head. Now you'll see, oops, I just redid it. So there, so I'm clicking on the outer circles to move this, clicking and holding shift. Make sure that's right in the middle so I got the right height. So this, you'll see that this is matching the size. So on the top it's giving me a value. So it's 3.84 units right now, which is just essentially just a randomized ZBrush default units in this way. But I can take the transpose tool, match it to the head like I've done. Now if I go to preferences and I go to transpose units, now what I can do in here is I can set the calibration distance. You'll see it's matching that number here, 3.8, 3.8. So I can click this and I want this to be 1. And I'll click enter. Now I can actually click set units and I can go heads. So now you'll see this is now matching 1 head. So now as I click and draw this out, you see those values in the top left. So this becomes a tool that I can use to measure and start to get accurate distances, so I don't have to eyeball it and I can kind of just really narrow it down a lot faster. So then now if I just go in here, turn the Z-spheres back on. So from head to toe, about 2 3/4. So if I just click and drag this down, you'll see 3.8. That's a little too much. So I can alt-click on the Z-sphere, maybe bring the stomach up, bring the legs up. And then let's go back to, so I'm just selecting the head. So let's say 2.75. I can actually see putting it, I'm just holding shift as I'm dragging up, so I'm keeping this locked, or you can kind of just drag it freely, but shift will lock to those angles. So 2.75. So I want to bring the feet roughly about there. So maybe that means I gotta scale down the stomach. Alright, so that's what the reason why I went through and I did that. So if I just wanted to go in and just add some quick feet in there. And even though it's not perfect, it's the same thing for the arms. So I got the arms roughly from shoulder down all the way to a balled up fist is 3/4 of a head. So there might be extra room if I extend the fingers, if I just want to sculpt them open. But you know, if I could just alt click back to this subtool on the Z spheres, I can't use the transpose tool itself. So I'm just selecting any other subtool. I drew it on the head. So you see that's still there. But then I can kind of just go draw out a new line and match this. So if it's about 3/4, like 0.75 roughly, this would be about where at least the ends of the knuckles are, right? So I might leave a little bit of extra room, right? But so this is kind of my deal. Like, it just makes it a little bit easier, and then I can start to match things like the neck down to where the legs are actually separating. Looks like it goes from neck with one full head. The legs are already being sort of created, so I can kind of use that as I go along. So if I just press A, I can take this mesh. So I'm just pressing A, which is turning on this adaptive skin preview. And by default, it's got the Dynamesh resolution, which I don't want, so I'm going to turn this at 0. Just wanted to do just basic topo, low res topo. I find that just easier to kind of modify and work with. Then I can click Make Adaptive Skin, and the Z-sphere is still going to be in here. So I can actually, I'm just going to delete that, and let's insert that new skin that we made. This one can now be Body Whip 1. And then let's just maybe add a couple subdivisions. So now this is where I'm just going to go in and start to, this is where I got to, you know, maybe grab a good silhouette now, getting the stomach to work right. And then going along with what I was saying earlier, like from about where the neck line is, all the way down, one full head. Let's see what that is. So one head, about right here, if I draw that line across, you'll see that the legs should already be kind of tucked up and growing out of the stomach. So this is where I can kind of just go mask off a large area. Even switch back to the gizmo if I feel like that is a little bit easier. Bring this up, bring it in. Alright, and then any little extra artifacts or anything, of course I could be a little bit more careful with that mask, but I think you get the point. So hopefully that kind of explains like why I went into all that stuff at the beginning, just because I prefer to use that as kind of like just a visual marker, because I'm just not that great at eyeballing it, you know? Some people just have that skill, you know? Then that's not one of mine. I like to cheat as much as I can. But so it's 6:03. I gotta get going. It's the end of the day here. I got a few other things I gotta do before I go home. But let me check the chat here. Sorry, I was missing what you guys said. Will this screw anything up for export, Tyler? You're mentioning for the scaling? No, it won't screw anything up. As far as when you're gonna export, that's gonna be a whole nother process. This is where what's great about the latest, we actually introduced the latest plugin, Scale Master. You can sculpt the character in ZBrush and the ZBrush units. When you're going to export, you can reunify how you want, what size you want that to export out as. So it's very easy. This is actually, there's some great tutorials as far as just breaking this stuff down. I actually, if you watch any of my old restreams, you can find them on Twitch. I was doing Lego, building scenes with Lego parts to scale, like actual Lego parts, like in their default units, and I was using the scene scale to set my mesh size and dimensions and all that stuff. So that's, if you're interested, I'm pretty sure that should be in our Twitch feed. If you just find my streams, just check out the Lego ones. The first one kind of illustrates how this works, but otherwise you're good. You can, you know, freely work and just deal with scale at export time, so you don't have to let that affect the way that you sculpt or model or use the tools. Which is very freeing in that way, which I love. So, yeah, and Adagino, I think, is that right? I'm not sure. I'm planning on doing this at least, I want to try and do it once a week if I can. My previous streams I've been doing twice a month. So every 2 Mondays of the month, I'm going to be doing this stream, the ZBrush mashups. And if it gets popular, if you guys are really enjoying it and you guys want more, that's just more reason for me to stream on a regular basis. So, you know, if you guys are watching the videos, subscribing, liking the stuff, that means, you know, we'll definitely be making a point to do this more. Otherwise, I'll be doing this twice. I'll be doing not next week, but the following week, and so on and so forth. And yeah, Tim, you're mentioning great for 3D printing, which all these ZBrush mashup characters I want to do 3D prints of. So at the end of it, I'll do a print. I'll share it with you guys. I'll give you guys tips on as far as like maybe doing, I could even get into doing some keys and stuff like that, just very simple basic keys to print this stuff out. So that's the goal. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm going to go through the chat right now and collect all the additional ideas that you guys have had and throw it in the list. But definitely when you tune in next time, I will have this spinning wheel. I'm working on just a basic mock-up of this thing, so I got to find some randomization scripts so I can make sure it's authentic, because I don't want to cheat. You know, I want to push myself, and I want to pick topics that you guys are into. So anyways, that's it for now. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in a couple weeks. The stream schedule will be on Pixelogic Twitch main page, or best place to go, ZBrushLive.com. So thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.